Today, we will try to get some information about Kena Upanishad. Okay? And this Upanishad belongs to the Talavakara Shakha or school of Samaveda. Now, since it belongs to Talavakara, it is also called Talavakaropanishad. But that is okay. I must tell you at this juncture itself that whichever Veda and whichever school the Upanishad belongs to, that does not mean that the philosophy told in that Upanishad applies to only that Veda, right? So when Kenopanishad talks about Brahma or Atman, it applies to all the people, not only Samavedics, right? Why is it called Kena? Just like Ishavasya, even this is called Kenopanishad because the first mantra begins with Kena. I will read out the mantra to you. Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha, Kena pranaha pratamam spraiti yuktaha, Keneshitam vachamimam vadanti, chakshushrotram kaudeo yudanti. The Shishya, as usual, asks question to the Gurus. This method of asking questions and the Guru giving answers is amazing for the simplest reason that then Guru also thinks in different ways, and Guru also goes according to the needs of the students. In fact, later on you will listen to one other Upanishad. Its name itself is Prashnopanishad. So here the Shishya says, Kena ishitam prapatati preshitam manaha. This manas, who gives it the impelling power, impetus to move from one place to other? Mana. Okay, mana is so fast. Manojavam marutatulya vegam. So, second question is, and by whose impulse does prana go on? By third is by whose impulse vak goes on, and the fourth is chakshu, shrotra, etc. In other words, by whose impulse all the indriyas, mana and prana work properly. We never bother about such questions, but these are shishyas who are on a different level, and therefore they have come up with these questions, and the Guru answers. We typically never know who is the Shishya and who is the Guru. Okay? It is only by Bhashyakaras sometimes that they tell us the names. But even if they don't tell the name, it is fine because names don't matter. The philosophy does. And the answer to all these four questions is it is the Brahman by whose impulse all the indriyas work. So all that we do is because of Brahman. We breathe because of Brahman. We see because of Brahman. That is, we are alive because of Brahman, and that is how our Dhyanendriya and Karmendriyas, they work properly. And therefore, the Upanishad starts with Kene Shitam Manaha, and the Guru also gives a description about Brahman, which is very important. It says, Tan nejati tadejati. It does not move but at the Brahman. It does not move but at the same time it moves. Tad dure tadu antike. It is away from us and at the same time it is within us. Rudhaya kashe. There are all the contradictions which come together in Brahman, and that is why Brahman, as you know, later on we would know in details that it is full of no attributes. Okay, it's a very difficult statement to understand that Brahman is full of no attributes at all. After that, the Guru and Shishya have a very nice conversation where the Guru asks the student, asks the Shishya, so tell me what you have understood about Brahma. And the Shishya starts telling about Brahma. He talks something about Brahma. And the Guru says, The one who thinks that I have understood Brahma has not understood it at all. And the one who has actually understood it keeps on feeling that, oh my God, I still have to grasp so many things. Yasya matam, tasya amatam. So the one who thinks that I know, he doesn't know anything. And this is one thing which is true not only of Brahman, but even today, there are people, which have only this much of knowledge and they think they are great and they know everything, they are omniscient, which is not the case. In the next Adhyaya, there is a story. I told you that Upanishads are full of stories. If you are you have to get distracted from the philosophy, so the story takes you away from the philosophy, but ultimately the story comes back, takes a u-turn and merges into the philosophy itself. So the story is about gods. You will be surprised. And these gods, they are Agni, Vayu, Indra, etc. The gods won the war, and the gods were very proud, too proud actually. And they said, oh, we have won the war, and it is because of our greatness. The word used is Mahima. It is because of our greatness that we won the war. And then Brahma thought that was not right. So Brahma took a different form, Yaksha. Yaksha is something which is non-decipherable at times. That's why we say Yaksha Prashna, right? So Yaksha, it takes the form of Yaksha, and the gods say, oh my God, what is this Yaksha? Who is he? And Agni first approaches him. And the Yaksha says, oh, who are you? Agni says, I am Agni, and there is a blade of grass, Trunam. And he says, I can burn this easily. Agni says, I can burn this easily. And Yaksha says, okay, do that. And Agni could not do that, because unless and until Brahma decides to do something, the ultimate reality decides to do something, things don't happen. So Agni is defeated, goes back. Same case with Vayu. Vayu comes and he said, oh my God, I will wash away everything. I have great power, and this blade of grass will blow away hundreds of miles. But that also does not happen. Then it is Indra's turn. Indra has become wise because of these two examples. And then Indra says, who are you? He says to Yaksha. And then, I don't want to be proud now. Please explain yourself. And at that time, something else happens. A bright light comes from the sky and then disappears. And after that, a goddess appears in front of Indra. The name of the goddess is Uma Haimavati. Now just see, Uma is a word which we generally attribute to Parvati, right? And which is later. But see how Upanishads are trying to get from Vedic tradition to Puranic tradition. They are there is a shift, sometimes we can clearly see that. And then Uma Haimavati, when Indra says, oh, tell me what that light was. Tell me why they could not burn or blow away the blade of grass. And then Uma explains the Brahma Vidya to him. Just imagine, she is a woman. In the beginning, first episode, I told you that even women have started becoming knowledge givers, or they are becoming imparters of knowledge. So this Uma Haimavati gives Brahma Jnana to Indra. And then the gods realize what mistake they were making, and then they realize that Brahma is greatest, Brahma is greater than everything, not only human beings and other living beings, but even gods. And then the Shishas say, okay, now we have understood. Like I said, since this is a story, the Shishas are able to grasp it easily and very comfortably. So once they have understood this, they say, okay, now this is so funny, Shishas say, Upanishadam me bruhi bhagavo iti. Now tell us the Upanishad. And the Guru says, this is the last line of Upanishad, Kenopanishad, and I love it because Guru says, so what was I doing all this time? All this time, Brahmim Vava Upanishadam Avadam iti. All this time, I was telling you the knowledge, Upanishad, about Brahma and therefore Brahmi Upanishad, and then the students are satisfied. Generally, later on in other Upanishad, there is a sentence which always tells you Gurostu maunam vyakhyanam shishyastu chinna samshayaha. Shishyas have many doubts. They ask questions, and which is always a good thing. You ask questions, but Gurostu maunam vyakhyanam. Sometimes the Guru keeps quiet because Brahma is something about which a lot can be said and still you won't understand it, or nothing can be said and still you would understand it, for the simplest reason that Brahma Jnana has to come from within. I would always emphasize this point, and it is not only Brahma Jnana, all knowledge has, I mean, somebody gives you knowledge, but you have to have the urge, and in that sense also, it is Atma Jnana. And then Shishaha Chinna Samshayaha. Their doubts are completely solved. This is how Brahmajnana is, and this is Kenopanishad tells you Brahmi Upanishad.